Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another tier list and another episode on the channel. You are unfortunately stuck with me this time, but who better to tell you and walk you through these grounds than someone who's seen their team lose at the majority of these stadiums over the last years. There are a couple of grounds on here that I haven't actually been to, but we'll get to those in a minute. Starting us off with Arsenal, one of the best stadiums I've been to, full stop, not just in the Premier League. It's got padded seats, it's easily accessible, it ticks all of the boxes. So we are starting off with a banger and straight away, beauty. Next up, Villa Park. I don't mind it. It's quite an iconic stadium. The steps leading up to the main stand, the whole end. For me, top class stadium. Up next, Bournemouth. It's a park with some stuff next to it. It's not a football stadium. The size of it, everything like that. I'll put it in average though. I won't be too harsh. All the critics are quite harsh on it, but I'll put it in average. Moving on to Brentford now and the G-Tech. I don't mind it. It's a bit of an odd looking stadium and it is it's hidden away in the middle of nowhere, though it is just off the train tracks, I suppose. So I'll stick that one in average. From being close to train tracks to in the middle of nowhere, not even in Brighton, to be fair. This stadium, it's in Farmer, which is about another 20 minutes, half hour away from Brighton, in the middle of nowhere. But I don't mind the look of the stadium, so I will put it at the bottom of average, just about. Onto the first promoted team here, Burnley, Turf Moor. It's going in eyesore for me. I've been there. It was a stereotypical cold Wednesday night in Burnley. It was a 0-0 game, terrible. Hodgson's first game. It was raining, it was windy, the roof was shaking. It felt like the stadium was going to fall down. Straight into eyesore for me. After Burnley, we are going into Stamford Bridge. As it stands at the minute, it is quite dated, but it is one of them stadiums that you go to. The fans are right on top of the pitch and everyone's close to each other. I don't feel like it's as good as Villa Park, so I'm going to put it in top class, but below. After that, Palace, it's restricted view, so straight away, it's got to go in an eyesore. Any restricted view stadiums, if you can't see the pitch, what's the point of it being there? Underneath that, Everton, Goodison Park, soon to be changed, and that is a good thing because it is very, very, very dated. Is it an eyesore? I'll put it more retro than an eyesore. I'll put it in the bottom of average. Evertonians, don't kill me. Up next, we have Craven Cottage or Fulham, newly renovated. I didn't mind it. You get a nice little view of the river as you're sitting in the away end, which isn't a pretty look for anyone that's got common knowledge on that. But I didn't mind it. It's one of those stadiums. It's literally in the middle of a road, in between houses, easily accessible. And the only thing I didn't like was the sort of neutral stand next to the away fans. I wasn't too sure on that, but I'll put it in average. I'll put it there. I'll put it above Brentford for me, if it wants to go above Brentford. Now it does. Moving on. So the other side of Merseyside, Liverpool, it's one of those classic stadiums for me. It's, the Anfield is terrifying, all that sort of stuff that they waffle on about. I didn't get, maybe because we're Watford and they battered us. But it is still an iconic stadium, so I will have to put it in top class for me, above Stamford Bridge. Sorry, Chelsea fans. Up next, another promoted team, a team up the M1, Luton. It's not a good stadium. It's not got character. It's a safety hazard and should be knocked down. It's going at the bottom of eyesore. It's not a football stadium. It's in someone's back garden. You have to walk through houses to get there. Have to walk through houses to get out. The toilets are tiny, and there's steps in the seats. So it's probably a safety hazard. Just burn it to the ground. Just get rid of it. Get them out of the league. They deserve to be there, but I can't like them, obviously. Up next, going from one end to the other of the league, hopefully next season, the Etihad. They've expanded it. Whatever discussion you want to have about how they've got the money to expand it is by the by. It is still an amazing football stadium. So for me, it's going to go into top class. And after the expansions, it's better than Anfield. Yes, you can argue the whole soulless bowl thing, but it's a great stadium. After that, moving on to Old Trafford, it's very, very dated. There's all the memes on Twitter about the roof leaking and stuff like that. It needs a refresh. So based on that, it's going to have to be going towards the bottom end of average. You know what? I'll put it towards the middle, just so I don't get slated. I'm sure Chavez will agree. It's not a good stadium anymore. Moving on to that, Newcastle, St James's Park. I've been there a couple of times, and the away end, you can probably touch the wing of an aeroplane if you jumped high enough, because you're miles away from the pitch. But I don't mind the stadium. It's big, it's loud, it ticks all of the boxes. So for me, I'm going to put that in average again. Moving on to Nottingham Forest, it's another restricted view stadium, so it's going alongside Palace. There's no other arguments to be had after that. Again, as I said, if it's restricted view, it can't be a nice stadium. Nottingham Forest, City Ground, everything's on top of each. Oh no, that's not, tell a lie. Is it? No, we've just done Forest. Scrap that. Sheffield. Well done. Congratulations on your promotion, but it's half a. You know what? I'll put it in the bottom end of average. It's right on the river. I'm waffling about Forest still here. You know what? Sheffield is going in average. It's going towards the bottom end of average. Congratulations on your promotion. Next up, the club that I've also been known for hating, Tottenham Hotspur. I went there once when it just opened and the roof leaked. How are you spending £1 billion on a football stadium for the roof to leak less than 6 months after opening? Terrible stadium. Even though it's not an eyesore, it's going to have to go towards the bottom of average because you can't spend that amount of money and the roof leaks. That's terrible. Get in the bin. Up next, this one is an eyesore. This one is the Olympic Stadium. It's not a football stadium. It's the Olympic Stadium for a reason. Similarly to Newcastle, you are 7 miles away from the pitch, except you're sort of on pitch level. It's terrible. It's not as much of an eyesore as the others, but it is going at the top of eyesore because it's not a football stadium. You won't find any football fan that's happy going there. And last but not least, Molineux. The only positive I can have of this stadium is there is an Asda about a 30-second walk from the doors of the away end. So that's the only positive of the stadium. It's got to go in eyesore. Not as bad as Burnley, but it's going in eyesore. I know the only beautiful stadium I've given is the Emirates, probably because of the hate for the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and other grounds not being... yeah, you know what I meant. So yeah, that's the tier list. I'm sure I'm going to get loads of hate, but let me know if there's any other tier lists and stuff like that you want to see in the comments. And yeah, next time it will be us three, so it won't just be hate on me.